So the struggle is real. We all feel it. And what I struggle with is different than what you struggle with. And how deep we struggle is also different for all of us. And we all heard, pain is inevitable, but struggle is optional. And so there's some truth to that. But when you're in the midst of struggle, it's like you don't want to hear that. And you don't get it, even if you do hear it. So struggle is a part of the human experience. It just is, unfortunately. But inside all of us, there is freedom from this struggle. And so as we seek freedom from whatever is causing our struggles, it is inside of us. It's that freedom from struggle is not going to be outside of us. And even freedom is going to look different to all of us. What each of us views as being free of our struggles is going to change. But what doesn't change is that we all want this sense of freedom, and we all deserve it. And so freedom, again, is within all of us. It's felt. And it's experienced when we can learn or practice to release attachment to the outcome. So if something isn't unfolding in the outer world the way you think it should or the way you want it to, if we hold on to that way that it needs to unfold, we are inevitably going to suffer. So we want to let go of or detach from outcomes and the way we think things need to unfold. So when we can practice that, when we do that, what happens is there's going to be some deep emotions that come up with that. And those deep emotions that come up, they need to be felt. Not fixed, not suppressed, not mixed up with a story. Okay, so if we can observe that we are feeling something, but then not get swept away by that emotion or the story or the meaning we're attaching to that emotion, and we can instead return to like a place of presence where it's like, no, I'm just going to be with this emotion, right? We're not the story or the meaning that our mind and I'm using chakras here, our thoughts and our mind and our throat chakra and the stories. We're not those stories. We're not the meaning or the thoughts we put behind the emotion. So if we can notice that mental narrative that is attaching us to the suffering because we want something to unfold in a certain way, if we can detach from that and then just lean back and just listen and allow ourselves to just feel the emotion, that emotion can be released, but we can't force it to be released. So freedom is found not in controlling what happens, but in trusting that life has maybe a better plan or an unseen order to things. So it's so important that we practice detaching from the outcomes or the story. And in that, we can open up to new possibilities. So when we allow these emotions to move through us without resistance or without clinging to the story or a meaning that we've attached to this emotion, well, then we open to truth. We open to something, we open to the freedom, and we let go of the struggle. And it's that truth that we can then begin to tell a different story, that we can start to change the old narrative that's not serving us and causing us to struggle, and allow ourselves to shift into a new story, not because we forced it, but because we freed it. We freed the old story because we allowed the emotion to be felt. So this week, it's about noticing the moments when we want to hold on or cling to a story, or when we want to control a situation, or we want to control a person. And when we notice these moments, if we can pause, press pause on the story and the narrative, and notice the emotion that rises up. So as that emotion rises up, we have our tendency is to attach a meaning to it and then get carried away by the story. But instead of attaching to the story, just breathe and feel it. Don't feed the story or the meaning, just feel the emotion. Now, this isn't easy to do. It's not easy, but it is essential to get beyond the struggle and get into that space of freedom that is within all of us. Because as we release the struggle, so if we can release the story or the meaning behind that emotion that's showing up, we learn to trust the flow. We learn to see beyond the fear or the guilt or, the grievances, and we see beyond it to the freedom that's within. And it's something that we uncover when we stop clinging or attaching or controlling whatever's unfolding. So this is where that Wayne Dyer has the, be attached to nothing and open to everything. We've got to be attached. There's no story. There's no outcome that we want to be attached to. Instead, we want to be just open to everything. And in that openness, we can really feel the emotion that is arising within us. Okay, so there's Deepak Chopra always has the STOP, right? The acronym for STOP. So I'm going to bring it in. Stop. When you notice that you want to hold on to something, just stop. Stop chasing that outcome. Stop clinging to that story. Stop attaching to the struggle, expectations, whatever it is, just stop. And then the T is just take a few breaths. Right? And then the O is observe the story, not get carried away from it, but observe the story or that attachment or that meaning you're putting onto the emotion that's causing the suffering. Pause it. And the P could be pause, but I'm also going to say P is proceed to feel. Allow that sensation of the emotion to move through you when you're not attached to any story. And this is a practice because this is where truth and freedom can finally move through you. So this is the intention of this week. Practice letting go of control, of outcomes, of expectations, of old stories, of the struggle. And in that, honor the emotion that will arise when you do that. Pause the story. Detach from the meaning to the emotion, or detach from the story or that old narrative. So feel instead of feed the story, and then trust it. Trust the flow. Trust that whatever, what we need to trust? We need to trust the body knows how to do this. Get out of your head, because the head blocks the body's ability to actually feel the emotion and release it. It's a natural process, but our head gets in the way. So you need to trust that your body knows what to do with this, and instead just feel it. Where are you feeling the sensations? Be observant, be curious, and then be open to whatever unfolds. And I mean in your life, right? Once you can feel this and release it, you'll feel it. You will. You may be willing to see things differently in that release. It might be easier to tell a different story because, and this is why this is so important, the behaviors and the actions that we take from a new story versus the old story will be different. And it's the actions and behaviors that change our life, not from the outside world, from inside. So if you can take action or your behavior shifts, so you take a different action from a place where you're willing to see things differently, or where you are no longer immersed in the old story. That old story has been paused. We have detached from that old story, and now we've released whatever emotion comes up, and we've got this freedom now to choose a different way of being, or a different way of seeing something, or a different way of thinking about it, or a different way of loving. And the action that we then take from this different story, one that you get to create, is more a story coming from freedom, or from peace, or from love, or even just a willingness to not have to know. How about stepping into the unknown and seeing how life unfolds? And that changes everything. So yes, the struggle is real. We all struggle. We all feel a struggle in some way, but it's optional. We can seek that freedom within, and that's what this week is all about. So you may need to listen back to this a few times to go, where do I get that? Now, this is a chakra system that I'm working with. It's an energy system within each of us. And it is when we access it, it opens us up. I'll speak more about the chakras in the actual blog attached to this. But for now, just know, right? Be attached to nothing. Let go of the outcomes in the story and just open to what you're feeling, to what the emotion it needs to do to just feel and experience. That's where the freedom is within all of us. Okay? And we all heard it too. Feel in order to heal. This is the first steps that you can take. Just open your mind to this process. Practice it. Okay, so that's what this week is about, my friends. Thank you so very much to opening to this practice, because it has the ability to change and shift your entire life. Namaste. Thank you.